So, I'm here to talk, I'm gonna try not to be super long-winded. There's just so many things that are bothering me right now with what's going on in the world and in my life personally. It's just making me realize so many different things. And I'm just seeing all this stuff, like the stuff with Trayvon Martin, and they're just like me personally. Actually, let's backtrack a little bit. Um, with the things that are going on with Trayvon Martin, with they're just, are there any communities that aren't battling each other or battling within themselves right now? There's just so much upheaval right now, and it's just bothersome. Uh, but the things that with the Trayvon Martin thing that bother me in particularly are, like, I am obviously a black male. There's no arguing that. You can't argue it no matter how quote unquote white people think I may act, and I've been told that many times over my life, um, among other things. But I'm not afraid of the cops. I'm not afraid to walk down the street and anyway I'm dressed and worry that a cop may pull me over or harass me or attack me. Like I'm not I don't have those things happen to me. That's not part of my life. And it's not that I've never lived in areas where those things happen. I've lived everywhere from the projects. I've lived in poor neighborhoods. I've lived in well-to-do neighborhoods. I've been there, and I've been in there. I've lived in Brooklyn, New York, where we know right now it's like crazy the way cops are harassing kids, black men, men of color, Latino, Asian, whoever, for whatever reason. And from my understanding, being forced to by their superiors. But that's never, even my little brother, he was harassed, he was attacked by some cops because he was misprofiled um, as a man who had attacked a woman or tried to rob a Caucasian woman. And it wasn't him, obviously. Well, not obviously, you don't know my brother. But it wasn't him. And he was attacked by cops and nothing happened, nothing went on. And unfortunately, I didn't find out about it until way after the fact. Um, but my point is, I've never had to personally deal with these things. I've never really had to worry about them for the most part. I mean, not that I've never had them. I'm not completely immune to these things. But as far as like with cops and stuff, I've never been harassed by cops walking down the street or anything. You know what I mean? Uh, Anytime I've been pulled over or anything, it's because I was speeding or I ran a red light or something. Well, I don't think I've ever run the red light, but you get my point. Um, but now, like thinking about the way things are going, and I'm getting to a point I don't feel safe, and it's not just because of um not because of cops. I'm not gonna go run around being afraid of cops and things, but just in the world in general, I'm starting to feel for lack of a better term, the weight of my blackness, in a way I've never felt it before. And excuse my hair, not that it matters in this particular instance. Um, but I'm really starting to feel it and realize the way things are in the world. And it's not, once again, it's not that I was ignorant to them. Things have happened, but for me, they have never been major in my life. There were other things that were happening and other things that were going on. Um, but as far as racially speaking, there was never anything major that I could say, oh, that happened because I was black. There are things that happen that I could point out, but nothing major, nothing hardcore. And now there are just so many things that, like, there are things that are happening not just because I'm black, but because other people are black or Latino or Asian, but I would say specifically black. And it's just not okay. And it's just sad that in the 21st century, in 2013, that we're still living this way. And it's just, it's very sad. And two things I want to say. One, it is a travesty, and it's a blatant disrespect and disregard for human life that Mr. George Zimmerman got off from the cold-blooded murder. It was planned. It was what it was. There's no way that man can tell me that he didn't perpetuate that. He didn't make that situation happen. No matter, even if Trayvon did attack him, there were just many things that he could have done to make sure that situation didn't happen in the first place. And therefore, I, beyond a reasonable doubt, know that he sought out, hunted, and killed this boy. And he'll pay for that. He may not be in prison, which I don't think he would have lasted long in prison anyway. Therefore, the punishment may not have worked out in the way it should have. But in another way, hear me out when I say this, I'm glad he got off, because it makes me and others in the world realize the injustices that us as quote unquote minorities — I don't like to think of myself as a minority or what in that way. Just that word just doesn't fit right with me, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? The injustices that are happening to us every day, and the values that are placed or not placed on us. And it's just, it's disturbing. It's very disturbing. And I think that's something that would not have been seen in the light that it is being seen in right now had George Zimmerman been convicted of second-degree murder and be in jail right now. I think there are many people who would have just been okay with the way things are and would continue on thinking that there's justice and things are great because you got this one victory, so you should be happy. And the fact that people are living in poverty and don't really have a chance to grow in this world is okay. Also, I watched a movie yesterday, or a documentary rather, called Park Avenue: Money, Power, and something else. It's called Park Avenue: Money, Power, something. And I watched it on Netflix, and it talks about how 740 Park Avenue has the most concentrated residence of billionaires in the United States. And that how Park Avenue in Manhattan is very different economically than Park Avenue in the South Bronx. And it's just a very interesting documentary, and that also gave me some realizations to white privilege and things of that nature. They're just things that I'm just realizing. And I've always been, and the reason I'm not just realizing these things, I realize that these things happen. But I've also always been a person that if you work, you can get to where you want to be. And if you put in the work, it'll happen. And then in some cases, I'm realizing that it just doesn't happen. I'm realizing that with career, work, and all types of things, that these things don't always happen. And it doesn't necessarily matter how much work you put in. And the fact that, not that it's necessarily because of the color of my skin, but when you look around, it starts to be like, these people aren't working as hard as I am. Why aren't I receiving the same or better treatment. And it's just something to think about. And it's weird. And I've never been a race person that way. I've always been a equality and everyone is treated equally. I've never been ignorant to the fact that racism and things do exist. I know they do. But I don't live my life like that. I don't live like that. And maybe it's done me a disservice. I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this because it's going to take forever to upload this anyway. And I'm not editing it. So it is what it is. I'm doing it on my phone. So look out for a part 2. All right.